Let me tell you, I saw this film last week, and I thought it was so lovely and delicate and enchanting. And as I was watching it, I kept thinking, this must have been the most pleasurable experience to make this movie.
It really was. It was like a summer of love. I mean, I feel like we all went away to film camp. And we stayed
Yeah.
and like this was our summer project. We got to all, live in little cottages around the lake. We had breakfast together, and then the camp counselor came out and said, okay, here's your assignment for today. We're doing these scenes, and you guys are going to be on the art department, and you're going to be on the camera. I mean, it was like, it was incredible. It was it was a lot of hugging and a lot of singing. Morgan singing all day long, and all of us singing with him. He's a big Sinatra fan, and so am I. So that was just incredible. And a lot of food, and they have White Castle there.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Oh man. So it was like, and so I have this thing that if I'm in the Midwest or I'm somewhere where they have the White Castle, I will have what I call White Castle Wednesdays, and I will bring hundreds of White Castle burgers to the set. Now, I'm not necessarily bragging on myself, because I confess that the reason I do this is so that I won't be the only one with onion breath. And then I can eat it, and no one will go, are you going to fit into that costume later?
Well, that sounds like a beautiful time. That makes me wish that I was on your sets on Wednesdays, actually. So,
yeah, people have a good time on my sets, that's for sure.
This is such a funny and warm movie, but it also has a very kind of meaningful message to impart. And what about that message spoke to you in particular?
Well, I suppose that I can't really tell you what the message is. That's something that an audience has to tell me what they came away with. I could say that after I read it, it brings to mind sayings like, it's never too late. Love arrives when you least expect it. Never give up. Things like that. That's what spoke to me in the story.
Well, that's kind of, I mean, in a way, your character and Mr. Freeman's character, you guys go through a similar evolution, don't you?
We do indeed. I think that, he's sort of given up on life, and I've given up on love. And there's a part of us, we have a door closed in front of our hearts. And somehow meeting him, it opens just a little bit at a time until it's open wide. And I loved that there's this little moment in the movie, and this is so Rob Reiner, that where he's sitting looking very grumpy waiting for the bus, and I'm gardening, and we just look at each other. And I did a take where I kind of smiled and waved, and Rob was like, could you just look at him? Like, you're not sure, just look at him. And same with Morgan. Like, he's like, just look at each other. And it was so simple. And I don't know why, but I really liked that moment.
It's like a recognition.
Yeah, but I'm kind of like, what's going on? I don't really know what's happening. And then, of course, everything changes when he comes to dinner.
Right.
And when he says, when I'm saying, oh, it's a made-up story, and he says, no, it happened to Jubal. And I realize how it's a very powerful moment between the two of us, and everything's different after that because he reveals his truth, then I play the piano and reveal something of mine.
Right.
And it becomes a way in. So it's really, I really love the way their story developed.
I do too. It's a really beautiful dynamic, but there's also the relationship between you and the girls that play your three daughters in the film. And I'm always curious when about depictions of family units in the movies. Do you have an opportunity to kind of establish a bond with them, or does that just kind of evolve naturally in the process of making the movie to make that
yes,
feel natural?
I think you have to. Allow it to develop naturally, but there's also specific things that you need to do when you're working with children. And when I read this, I was like, whoa, we have 3. And that's a lot of dialogue, and there's a lot of work that the children have to do. So I specifically asked them to pick a room in the house that would really be the mini O'Neill house that I would set up. And I said, I've brought all the supplies. I've got beads, I've got paints, I've got pipe cleaners, I've got glue, I've got, give me an art room. And because I did a lot of that when my boy was small. Mm-hmm. And I knew that, I said, because sometimes they won't be able to go out and play. Sometimes we'll have to keep them focused. We'll have to keep them together. And they'll also learn to trust me. And we'll all get to know each other that way. And Madeline Carroll was wonderful because even though she's a teenager, she has a very sweet nature. She was never impatient with them. They all sort of became sisters. They all really liked each other, the girls. And so Maddie helped shepherd the girls and, helped tie their shoes and would sit at the table and bead with them. And their mothers, their real life mothers, allowed me to mother their children, which I am eternally grateful for. They allowed me, they didn't hover, and they didn't try and even join in. Sometimes they did because I was like, come on, come into the art room. But most of the time, they got to have a little break. And then I really sort of became I called myself their movie mom.
Right.
I became their second mom. And then that room in the house you actually see in the movie. It was a sun porch that they were just going to put, some wicker chairs in, and it became the art room. And they brought me easels, and there was, art taped all over the walls in there, and there was glitter all over the floor. And I was like, I realized quickly that you cannot use glitter on a set. Very, very bad idea. It travels all over. But it was a real bonding experience.
Well, the thing about children, too, and, I equate this with our greatest actors, and certainly Mr. Freeman is in that classification as well, is that just by their very nature, they're completely open.
Yes.
I mean, do you find that that's a valuable acting partner to be across from, isn't it?
Oh, yes. I mean, there are actors that are more affected or actors that are more spoiled, or I find that the male actors are more so than the female actors. Maybe because it's harder for us. I don't know. But but I don't like the separation that's created by someone who's spoiled. Right. I don't like the uncomfortable nature of a set when there's a bad apple. And so when you really get to the people that are the best, they are the most open. Morgan Freeman is probably the greatest living actor that we have, and he's the most open. When work is done, he doesn't take it home. I mean, someone was asking him about that, and he said, I'm just not that kind of actor. Mm-hmm. I've always left my work on the set, and so do I. And I think that Rob well understands that although he's extremely focused and he knows exactly what shots that he wants to get. And, we chose an excellent DP, a woman named Reed Morano, who was just fantastic with the Alexa camera. But yet I think he knows that if there's a relaxed family feeling on the set, that everyone can be more creative.
Right.
The more bonded people can come, in my experience, the more bonded people are, the more creative they are, and then you have a better film.
Well, that's before I let you go, this is the last question I want to ask you, and it is about directors and how they kind of facilitate an environment in which you can do your best work. Does that have to do with that kind of freedom and sense of security? Is that what you're looking for from a director?
I like to work in an ensemble way. I like a director who's going to take me by the hand and work with me. Mm-hmm. And because I should not be left up to my own devices. Some of my earlier work is clear evidence of that.
No.
Oh, indeed, yes. And so I just think that, like Alexander Payne is like that. Mm-hmm. He really has this also really beautiful atmosphere on the set so that everybody just wants to follow him. Mm. Everybody wants to do their best. And he'll let people know what a good job they're doing. Rob does that. Nice work, I like that costume. Nice work, Virginia, I like that take. He'll take the time to be supportive of his family, which is his crew. Mm-hmm. So that's, other people may work differently, but this is the way I prefer to work. And I do my best work in that atmosphere when it's a family affair.
Yeah. Well, Ms. Madsen, it is a beautiful movie, and you're beautiful in it, and I so appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you so much. I appreciate yours.